Have you ever felt like you're just spinning your wheels, working harder and harder but not really getting ahead? Well, today we're going to dive into a massive mindset shift, making money by creating value.
So, let's just jump right in with the big question, right? Why is it that some people seem to attract money almost effortlessly, while so many of us are stuck in a constant struggle? I'll tell you right now, the answer isn't about luck, and it's not just about working harder. It's about a total change in how you see things.
And this quote right here, this is the core of that change. The whole idea that more hustle and more effort automatically means more money, that's a myth. We need to get this straight. Money isn't some reward for struggling. It's a direct response to the value you create in the world.
So let's spend a minute just dismantling this myth that so many of us were raised on. You know the one, that hard work is the only thing that matters for financial success. Honestly, that rule is broken. It's time for a whole new framework, one built on a much more powerful principle.
Okay, so if grinding it out isn't the answer, then what is? Well, it all comes down to understanding how money actually moves. We've got to look at the direct connection between the value you provide and the money that finds its way back to you.
Here is an amazing way to picture this in your head. Think of money like it's water. Water always finds the easiest path, right? It just flows. When you focus on creating real, undeniable value for other people, you are literally carving a riverbed. And the deeper and clearer you make that channel, the more naturally wealth just flows right into your life.
So how do we actually dull this riverbed? Well, it all stands on three main pillars: having clarity of contribution, showing up with consistency and presence, and adopting a mindset of exchange. Let's start with that first one, which is arguably the most important of all: clarity.
It really boils down to this simple truth. You just cannot receive what you haven't clearly defined. A wealthy mindset starts with being absolutely crystal clear on what you provide, who you're providing it for, and the real transformation you create for them. Anything less than that is just shooting in the dark.
And this is a perfect real-world example of what happens when you're not clear. The source material gives this great personal story about starting an Airbnb. The host was providing so much value, a comfortable place, safety, convenience. They even bought groceries and did weekly cleanings. But because they weren't clear on the total package of value they were offering, they charged a super low rate that didn't reflect any of it. They were over-delivering and undercharging, big time.
But then, once the host finally recognized the full experience they were giving people, they confidently raised their prices. And that fear they had, that no one would pay, totally gone. It just proves that knowing your value and then having the confidence to claim it, that is the bridge that takes you from just putting in effort to actually living in abundance.
But, knowing your value is one thing. Actually claiming it is a whole other ballgame. And a lot of the time, the biggest hurdles aren't what's happening in the market, but what's happening inside our own heads. Let's talk about these invisible barriers that stop us from charging what we are truly worth.
And these blocks, they're so common, I bet you'll recognize them. There's that nagging fear of overcharging, that little voice that says, oh, I can't possibly ask for that much. Then there's the comparison trap, where you look at what someone else is charging and you immediately lower your own price. And of course, good old imposter syndrome, that voice that whispers, who are you to deserve this anyway?
Check this out. Here's another story from the source that just hits so hard. A client named Fatim needed some really intensive coaching. And after days of second-guessing and self-doubt, the coach quoted a price that was based completely on fear, not on value. $1,500 for 5 months of work.
But here's the thing. That price was rooted in fear. The price that actually reflected the amount of work and the transformation the client would get was $2,000. That $500 gap was lost completely because of those internal value blocks we were just talking about.
The lesson here is just so incredibly clear. The coaching was absolutely life-changing for Fatim, which proved the value was there the whole time. The key is having the guts to price your services based on the impact you create. Money flows directly to clear, measurable results.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about the mindset. Now let's get super practical. We're going to walk through an actionable 5-step blueprint that's going to help you increase that flow of value, which in turn increases your wealth.
All right, here is your roadmap. Step 1, audit your skills. Get brutally honest about the transformations you can actually deliver. Step 2, look for gaps in the market. Where are people struggling? What problem can you solve? Step 3, package that value. Turn your skills into an offer that's so clear and compelling people can't say no. Step 4, deliver with excellence. This is non-negotiable. It builds trust and makes your price a no-brainer. And finally, step 5, price for impact. Stop charging for your time and start charging for the results you get for people.
Now, creating value is this powerful engine that drives wealth, for sure, but it's only half of the equation. You also have to get good at receiving it. And that brings us to the art of receiving, which is something we almost never talk about.
You have to be able to open yourself up and accept wealth without feeling weird about it. This means letting go of any guilt you might have for charging what you're worth. And remember, when you receive wealth, you can reinvest it, you can grow, and you can help even more people. It becomes this amazing positive cycle. To help build this receiving muscle, the source suggests this really simple but powerful ritual. Find a symbolic item, it could be a crystal, a special coin, whatever, and put it in your workspace. Then, every single time money comes in, whether it's from a sale or a client payment, you physically touch that item. This action helps you consciously acknowledge the exchange, but it's what you say next that really makes the difference.
As you touch your item, you say this affirmation, either out loud or just in your head. Thank you for recognizing the value I create. I am worthy. I am abundant. It might sound small, but this simple act literally rewires your brain to connect receiving money with feeling worthy and grateful, instead of feeling guilty.
So at the end of the day, the path to wealth really isn't about more hustle. It's about this powerful trio, having absolute clarity on your contribution, being laser-focused on the transformation you provide, and having an aligned energy that lets you confidently claim what you're worth.
And all of these things we've talked about, the clarity, the value, learning to receive, they all point to one central truth. They're tools to help you shape your identity. Because your identity, that's the ultimate channel for wealth. You can change your circumstances for a little while, sure, but until you change your core beliefs about who you are and what you deserve, that new reality just won't stick. So the question I want to leave you with is this: who do you need to become to allow the wealth you deserve to finally flow to you?